Hi guys, I thought I could take this opportunity to talk to you a bit about the idea of toxic positivity and how that can relate to what is going on in the world at the moment with the COVID pandemic. So we live in a world where we, are fed the idea from the media, from society, that we should be positive all the time. People say things like, just think positive, just be happy, good vibes only, good vibes welcome. And it's something I'm sure we're all guilty of saying. I know I've said it on many an occasion. And positivity is great, and having a positive outlook is a good thing to have. However, not at the expense of suppressing all other emotions. So just stop and think if you've ever said anything like, just think positive, try not to be upset. Have you ever stopped to think that might not be what the other person wants to hear? And that is when positivity can turn toxic. So toxic positivity is the idea that being positive and only positive all of the time is the best and only way to be. And that often involves having to deny and invalidate and minimise any negative feelings that are indicative of the human experience. It's a part of being human. So when someone uses phrases like, think positive and, look on the bright side, try not to be sad, things like that, in an attempt to end the conversation or to tell someone why they shouldn't feel how they're feeling, especially in situations where someone is being vulnerable with you or trying to share with you their feelings, then this can be especially toxic, and that is this concept of toxic positivity. So not only can we be toxically positive, I'm not sure if that works, so not only can we demonstrate that toxic positivity towards others, but we can always also do it within ourselves. So examples when we're sort of hiding how we truly feel, or fake it till you make it, that sort of mentality. Anytime we're trying to sort of push down any negative emotions, that's an example of toxic positivity. So I think this topic of toxic positivity is especially important with everything going on at the minute with the COVID pandemic, because I know there are things I've been guilty of saying, and you may have said them as well, that you think is going to offer the other person some reassurance and try and reassure them, but in reality can be quite invalidating, and you're not taking into account how they are feeling. So this could be things like saying like, oh well, this is just the new normal, or saying, but we're all in the same boat, or things like, well, at least we can be grateful that we've still got a roof over our heads, or try not to be negative, positive thoughts will get us through this. All on their own, I'm sure, are said with good intention. But like I said, it's the person on the receiving end that gets to decide if that comment is helpful or if it's dismissive. And I mean, if you really think about those sayings, none of them are sort of taking into account the other person's feelings. Instead, we're pushing them to one side, sweeping them under the carpet, and just sort of trying to make everything better. Because I think that's what we try to do as a society. We want people to feel better and make things better. But sometimes just listening and being there for someone is more than enough. And I mean, let's get one thing straight. Like I said at the beginning, being positive in itself is not toxic, but we need to consider the context and the time and the place. In a situation where someone is looking for support, looking for someone to listen to them, and looking for empathy and validation, then those words may be dismissive and toxic. So like I say, it's all about the timing, all about the topic, and all about the audience. So who gets to decide if your positivity is toxic or dismissive? Well, the person who gets to decide is the person on the receiving end of what you're saying. So for example, a friend comes to you and they're sad that they've lost their job and they're really upset. You know, you respond with, well, look at the bright side, you'll have a lot of free time on your hands now. So your friend gets to decide whether or not that remark is helpful. So your intentions might have been 100% good with what you said, but it's the impact that matters. So if you're saying something to help someone, you want to make sure it's actually helping them. So if you're not sure what's going to help in that situation, then the best thing you can do is ask. Making space for negative emotions does not make you a negative person. By allowing yourself to feel all of the emotions, that's a really important part of healthy emotional well-being. So by giving yourself and giving others space to process all that they're feeling and to feel all the feels, it gives them that space for positivity later on when they're ready for it. And because by then they will have already processed all the negative stuff. So now let's move on to talk about the things we can do instead. So rather than falling into the trap of being positive in a toxic way, here are some things that you can do for others and yourself instead. So what we can try and do rather than this toxic positivity is try and aim for healthy positivity. So this is when we are trying to look on the bright sides of things, but we also accept and experience difficult emotions. So this is a way more realistic way of going through life rather than feeling that pressure to be positive all the time. So, you know, you're weighing up both ends of the spectrum and welcoming all of the emotions. So another good tip is that we can try and validate what that person's feeling by showing them or showing yourself some compassion and empathy for how they're feeling. You know, we need to try and recognise and accept what they're saying, listen to them, let them feel heard, let them vent if they want to, and try not to jump in and give advice or jump in with these toxic positivity statements. And finally, you can offer help or advice, but only if they ask for it. Sometimes all people want is to be listened to and to be heard, and they might not want your advice or to be told what to do. However, if they ask for your advice, then feel free to offer it or direct them towards some helpful resources. There we have it. I hope you've learned a little bit about toxic positivity today. It's a topic that I find really interesting, so I've really enjoyed putting this together for you. In a nutshell, all it is, it's about trying to not close down those conversations. You know, we need to show those around us that we do want to listen and that we care about them enough to listen to what they're going through, and to not shut down those meaningful conversations, like I said. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed, I hope you've learned something, and thank you for watching.